But seriously, guys, who is bored without me?
You guys are on.
We're live. We're on. This is the Nadi. We have an interesting show tonight. We have a special guest with us, too, in the studio. How's everybody doing tonight?
Sleepy.
Shabby.
Good. Enjoying this awesome Michigan weather.
Yeah, right.
Oh,
I don't think there's anything wrong with it.
of course you don't.
I just want the summer to come. Really.
I just want it to get warm even.
That's right. I was talking to my buddy in Minnesota today. He said they had a huge snowstorm today. So I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
I guess not
We're
that
okay
bad. I'll
then.
take
Yeah,
rain.
but I was looking at the weather forecast. It says we might have snow tomorrow.
I heard that, too.
Well, only like less than an inch or something.
It's not going to stay anyway.
That's what I heard.
I mean, you know, winters back when we were growing up were a lot worse.
The seasons are all kind of weirdly mild now. It used to be more definitive, you know?
Yeah, they were more
More
defined.
defined, yeah.
Like back in the 80s, we'd have feet of snow, not inches.
Yeah. Yeah, we got nailed back then.
I don't remember getting 60 degrees in January back
No.
back when I was a kid. That's
Not
for
at all.
sure.
I mean, you grew up in the 80s, right?
Yeah, born in 83.
Oh, you were born in 83?
Yeah.
Wow.
So, I mean, I was alive.
Spring
And
chicken.
Playing with Teddy Ruxpin on the turn.
I never got a Teddy Ruxpin. I never got one of those.
Barbie?
I had plenty of the Barbies.
Ken?
I don't remember if I had Ken. Probably. My memory is not
remember.
fantastic.
Yeah, no.
But I was alive during the 80s for sure. 100% for sure on that
So-
part.
Steph, were you a Barbie girl?
Good stuff.
No, it's not.
I'm a Barbie girl.
Yeah, I'm sure I was. I have like 50 girl cousins, so I'm pretty sure we were.
That you were what?
That
Bar-
we were into Barbies.
Barbie?
Yeah,
For
she was a
sure.
Barbie girl, too.
I'm sure.
Mark, were you a Barbie girl?
No, that's only for the modern guys. That's not for us little guys. That's the new way.
That's for the metro.
I had a cutter in my hand putting up aisle 5. That was when I was young. What I was doing.
We're live. It's on there.
I don't see it.
Oh, yeah.
I'm gonna get out of it and then.
So we want to remind everybody, please share. We have a couple
Share
interesting.
what? Omar, share what?
Please,
Share the live feed.
please share the live feed.
How do you do that? Tell them how to do it.
Why don't you tell them how to do it, DJ?
Hit share on your Facebook. Hit share.
It's very
I
complicated.
think
All right.
there's a button
Thank you.
that says
Bottom right.
share.
Yep,
Share.
Bottom right hand corner. S.
And I'm not talking about Sunny and
Not
share.
Mine's on the
C-H-E-R.
left.
I'm talking about share.
That just dated you. You know that
S-H-
when you mentioned Sonny and Cher.
A-R-E.
Sorry about that.
Share.
Yeah.
Oh, there we
Steve's
go.
young. Steve's.
Do the kids know who she is these
29.
days?
No.
Are you really 29, Steve? Yeah, you are young.
He's not
Okay, now it's on.
29.
Got it.
How old is he?
Ask him.
Okay, I'll ask him. Steve, how old are you?
29.
Yell away.
Yeah.
Anywho, the topic for today, one of them at least.
Turning 30 in May.
Right. He's turning 30 in May. It's not Steve's birthday as the topic, folks. So, infertility.
May 22nd if you want to get me some gifts, guys.
Yes.
Infertility in the community.
the guy on the right does own. No, not how. No, it's not Hollywood Market.
Heartland.
Heartland.
Market. Yeah.
Yes. It's
Who are
Joe.
we
It's
talking
Heartland because someone's asking, does the guy on the right own Hollywood Market?
Oh,
By the way, it's not just me. We're 5 partners. So
Hollywood?
more
So-
20%.
Okay, so Joe, to answer your question, it's Heartland Market, yes, and Mark is an owner.
Heartland has good fried chicken in their prepared food section.
Good to know. All right.
That's all. I was just
Speaking of
answering
which,
the question,
Yeah.
Omar. Sorry.
so,
Aren't we supposed to interact with
yes, I was just asking who said it.
Joe
That-
Abo?
Back.
What they do there.
Okay.
The real topic now, guys.
Real topics.
So, you know, one of the goals of this show has been, from the beginning, has been to exploit a lot of the stigmas and stereotypes in the community that people don't want to address, don't want to face, want to hide, consider taboo. And, one of these issues is the issue of infertility, where a woman, or even in some cases, some men, are incapable of producing, children. Our guest this week, Christina Oddish. Christina has had her own share of experiences with the issue of stigma and infertility, if you would, for a minute, even miscarriages and whatnot. And Christina actually was the one who suggested the topic to me probably about a month ago. After one of our episodes, she thought it would be a good idea, and she's been a follower of the show sometimes, and she knows what we've been doing, so she thought it would be a good idea. And it is a topic that, again, that people don't want to touch on. And even, a lot of times I've heard stories where, and I'm sure we all have, where a person doesn't want to marry the other person if they find out that they're incapable of having, children or producing children.
Yep, I know some people who are in those kind of situations,
Yeah.
unfortunately.
So, Christina, tell us a little bit about your story, about your experiences, and what did you go through, and did you experience some of that quote unquote shame that's brought about, or that's brought about by the whole stigma of infertility or having difficulty, with having children?
Well, I will say first that when this was posted yesterday and today, I just noticed that there wasn't many comments, not a lot of shares, and I thought, well, that kind of makes exactly the point of why I wanted to bring it up, because it's not something that people want to talk about. And looking at my own experience, when I got married, we waited just a little bit before we started trying to have kids, naturally avoided for a couple years. And when we started trying to have kids, it never, ever crossed my mind that there would be hardship or that I would miscarry. Last thing that ever would have popped in my head. So the first time that I got pregnant, it was a huge shock. It was devastating and just very shocking. I didn't know what to think, what to do. My mom had never gone through this before, so I'd never really, I don't think I had ever had a discussion about miscarriage with anyone before then. But I found in those following months afterwards, after I would actually talk about it to people, would bring it up, that there were so many women around me, friends, family, that had gone through their own experience of miscarriage. Several people in my family, not immediate family, but further out. There were lots of them. I would be at a wedding and, some family members came up to me and just expressed that they'd gone through the same thing too and expressed their sympathies. So there was, not exactly comfort, but knowing that you're not alone.
It's like camaraderie almost.
Yeah. It's a really, really crappy club to be a part of.
Mm-hmm.
But like you said, camaraderie can help to endure that kind of suffering. So I also wanted to mention, or ask, I guess, do any of you know what the rate is that miscarriages occur?
No.
Pretty high in the first 3 months, I know that.
1 in 4 or 5 recognized pregnancies ends in miscarriage. That's 1 in 4 or 5. But, the different experts put the numbers between 15 and 25%. So again, 1 in 4. Just think about that. That means whether you've heard about it or not, women that have gone through this kind of loss. But I never knew that. The doctor told me that afterwards, and I thought, well, I guess if I wanted to have a big old Catholic family, it probably would have happened at some point, right? 1 in 5,
right. It's true.
God willing, if I have that many kids. But one miscarriage being so common, there wasn't really any approach to take at that point. So, tried to have kids again and got pregnant again. And again, I didn't think that it would happen again because it's very unlikely that a woman would have 2 consecutive miscarriages. But it did happen again. I'm not going to get into gory details that nobody wants to hear, but it happened again. After that, then we got into lots of other discussions, should I see a different kind of doctor, an infertility doctor, and that's when a lot more, I've always been fairly loudmouthed, so I did talk about it and spoke about it with others, and I would write about it on my blog that like 4 people read, and people would come up and ask questions or make comments, and this is where, and I know we wanted to touch upon some things. People would ask, well, have you tried this and have you tried that? And this is where we get to like, well, 1, the taboo of things, but 2, part of the taboo with our community also is how superstitious we are. Mm-hmm. Because, well, it's not just Chaldeans, but people in general will have this rule of like, you don't want to tell anyone about the pregnancy in the first 3 months. It's bad luck, as if that would be the reason why something would happen. Because, there's still like 10% paganism in every Chaldean.
Yeah, right.
At minimum, 10%. I try and like repress it as much as, some people have more than that, but at least 10%. Yeah. So there's, the superstitious aspect too. So they think that if they talk about if they announce it too early, that it's bad luck. And if they talk about it at all, it's kind of bad luck. Or,
if you get baby furniture before you're pregnant, or if you're too early on, that's bad luck. Yeah. And if you, all this stuff.
There is nothing to do with luck when you have. I mean, there is luck. I guess you can call it luck, but like, that's not what causes.
Yeah, you can't jinx. You can't jinx yourself. That's what it is.
To try and figure out what's happening here. Yeah. One is so very common, which I didn't know.
Are you first generation Chaldean? Someone wants to know.
Oh, yes. Junior does. Yes. Parents were born and raised back home. And I was born in Royal Oak, Beaumont, 3rd floor. Same place where my kid was born. I think 3rd floor. I don't remember.
Like that.
I was a little distracted at the time. So yeah, after 2 miscarriages, I definitely wanted to try and see what was going on. The doctor that I went to was just a regular old, OBGYN. She did a couple tests, did an MRI, some, generic blood work, and was like, well, I don't know what's going on, but here is a progesterone pill to take, just in case. Take this at this point in the month and call me when you're pregnant. So after that, we waited a little while because I just needed to recover from 2 miscarriages in 1 year.
Yeah, physically and emotionally.
Physically and emotionally and in every way. So took a little break. In the meantime, I found out, actually on a retreat in Ann Arbor with the Dominican Sisters of Mary, Mother of the Eucharist. They have a mother's retreat, which is open to, adult women. I think they still call it Mother's Retreat. But anyway, while I was there, I met a woman who is an instructor in NAPRO technology. So that it takes, we've heard of NFP, Natural Family Planning, and that takes things a step further medically to where it tracks things, according to, woman's cycle with specific markers to try and figure out what is going on when there are these types of issues, not just in trying to have children, but just with women's health in general. So she mentioned it, and I was talking to her. I told her about my history of 2 miscarriages, and she said, well, maybe this is something that you could look into. So I looked into it. I found an instructor in Michigan, and so this is a nationwide thing, but I found an instructor and started to chart things every month for a few months, and then I did blood work, and then more blood work, and like literally every day or every other day for like 2 months straight to see what was going on with my body and my cycle, and found out that I have very low progesterone, which more than likely caused those 2 miscarriages. And when I asked the doctor about the prescription my previous doctor had given me, she said that probably would not have done anything. It was not enough to prevent, the miscarriages. So I found a NAPRO technology doctor, had a whole program and all these 1,000 vitamins I was taking and taking progesterone, and found out I was pregnant again, and immediately did blood work, started taking progesterone injections, and still miscarried a third time. That one I have no explanation for. We leave that one up to God's will, that he knows what he's doing.
We leave them all up to them.
Yeah, well, we leave them all up to them, but I did find out some, amount of cause to the miscarriages, at least probably. There's no way to know 100% for sure. But so after 3 miscarriages, well, actually after the 2, but then especially after 3, I really, and whatever, I guess in my little ways, I try to never be afraid to talk about it, to write about it, because I've seen how, my being open about it has helped others to deal with their grief, to know that they are not alone, because it is a pain. And let me preface this by just saying, I don't compare this kind of grief to any other loss. I don't know what it's like to lose a sibling or a spouse or a parent, thank God, but every grief is different, and we should never compare. And I think, anyone who's listening who has suffered a miscarriage, please don't ever compare your loss with someone else's or a different kind of loss.
I totally agree with that. I had a spiritual director who was you probably remember him maybe. He was the pastor at Shrine, Monsignor Bill Easton.
Sounds familiar.
Yeah, it does.
He passed away back at the end of 2013, but he was a phenomenal human being. He was probably one of the most intelligent guys that I knew, priest or otherwise. And he was a spiritual director for me, probably in the mid-90s, and then I went back to him in like 2005. And he always said, I always tell everybody, never, you don't deal with grief by comparing it to to somebody else's grief. It's just not going to work. Like people will tell you to try to put, get you to put things in perspective. Oh, you're not alone, or oh, you should feel lucky because this person went through this. That's not going to work. That's not what you want to hear, because your story is unique, my story is unique, Stephanie's story is unique, and everybody else's story is unique. Helen lost her brother last year, and like I said, so everybody's story is unique. That's why you just don't. That's the one thing, like in my book, is it's forbidden. You don't compare grief to try to assuage somebody else's problems.
Never. And even between, because I know many women who have suffered miscarriages as well, even our own can't be compared to each other.
Mm-hmm.
Because all 3 that I lost were in the first trimester. I have a friend who lost a son at 24 weeks, so we're talking about 6 months. And just for terminology's
lost
sake,
one at 5 months. Yep, and it was traumatizing for my wife. Very for both of us, obviously,
Awful.
but obviously for the wife,
Awful.
it was worse because she's.
Is there
I can't imagine.
is there any correlation with postpartum depression with the miscarriage? I heard there is.
I mean, I'm sure there is some amount. I'm sure that women will suffer that after a miscarriage and the stillbirth. Because I was going to say after 20 weeks, they call it stillbirth. But it's, like I said, comparison is the worst thing and will only make grief worse, because each person needs to deal with their own grief themselves.
And our community's got problems because
in their
we
own
always
way.
The big cover up. Everything's the big cover up, and let them return that shit is happening.
Yeah.
Don't tell people. Why not?
Don't talk about it. You'll make them sad, as if they're not going to be sad already.
Forget about sad if they know they'll talk about you.
Yeah, like
whatever.
there's something, like
Like
there's
there's
something wrong with
like
you.
you did
Yeah.
something wrong.
Yeah, like,
to
oh,
cause
it's your
it.
fault you had a miscarriage.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
what the hell's wrong with you people, man? It's like, how about like holding each other up or helping other people and making them feel better, or doing
exactly.
something to help them out mentally and keep them, in a difficult time, to help them out, instead of saying, no, suppress that. Don't worry, don't say anything to anybody.
Yeah.
Exactly. And I know there were members of my family, because one of my losses was just before Thanksgiving. Another one was just before Easter another year. So I remember there were certain members of the family were like, don't mention it to her, don't talk about it, don't bring it up, you're just gonna make her sad. And I just want to be like, no, let me feel free to ask me about it, let me talk about it, talk through it. I'm gonna be sad regardless, so at least avoiding the topic, I'm gonna be sad regardless, so at least just make it not awkward by not talking about it.
And sometimes
and that isolates a person too, because then they feel like nobody wants to talk about something sad, and or people don't care, or think that's what they're going to think, and so that isolates a person even more. Absolutely.
And I think even it's strange to say, but it makes me it gives me comfort talking about it, or when people ask about them, to discuss it, because those 3 miscarriages were not a ball of tissue.
Yeah.
They were 3 children of mine. However small that they were, the size of a blueberry, they were my children. And when I bring this up and, discuss these topics, it's remembering them. And I'm sure, with anyone who's lost any family member, when it's been years and someone brings them up and has a great memory about, someone that you loved, that's a comfort. You get to think back on a beautiful memory that you have of that person, your mother, your father, your, cousin, your brother, sister. With miscarriage, nobody has any memories of that child except for the mother and, the father in a way as well. So it can be a very lonely, an isolating pain, because nobody else saw that child, nobody else felt that child, but they were our children.
Yeah.
So that's another reason why I try and, it's painful to think about, even though I do have a living child, on earth now, thank God, praise the Lord.
Who's really freaking
Who's unbelievable, and it's so hard not to spoil her. But that
do you think that this issue is still kept on the down? I mean, do people still try to keep this on the down low?
Absolutely, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. And it's, as usual with these things that are taboo, it's a lot with the older generation that just thinks don't talk about it means it never happened, or you can just completely ignore it. But, I think our generation especially realizes that grief will not go away by ignoring things. You have to address.
It's funny,
grief.
As much as people like to crack jokes on the new generation and stuff, there's some things that's better about them than our generation.
Oh yeah,
we're getting
much
some
more accepting.
Things right.
There is much more accepting of differences.
Not the Tide Pods, but we're getting some.
That's such a There's always a few idiots doing something everywhere. The only difference was back in the '60s and '70s, there was no cell phones to record them
and nowhere to post it.
But if you look at the generation now, they're more accepting of differences. They embrace imperfections more. Yeah. They're more open to things that happen to people. They're more apt in this type of situations. They're more sympathetic towards what's happened to a person and wanting to listen than they are saying, "Oh no, don't say anything about that. People might think something about us."
It has gotten better, definitely, but I still think it's.
In what way are you talking about, gays and stuff, or
in everything in general?
I don't think kids are walking around and saying,
Steve,
"How's your abortion
I'm not talking
going?"
about gays. I'm talking about even we were talking one week about children that are sometimes disabilities and stuff. We're way more accepting. We have
because there's a lot more disabilities.
It's not even that
tenfold.
That's not true.
Before
you don't think there's a lot more disabilities than 20, 30 years ago? More autism, more
in our community in particular, you
more
just
cerebral
didn't
palsy.
see them.
You didn't see them.
They hit them.
Yeah, exactly.
They hit them on the
I'm
ride.
telling you guys.
Listen, Steve,
keep
we
thinking
have
that.
Literally would leave their children at home for weddings, for church.
Yeah.
They didn't want people to
I
see
know
it.
somebody who has.
There's nowadays
Steve, I know,
1 in 3 families.
I know a
Chaldean families
family.
have autism in their blood, and it was never like that.
Steve,
Never.
I know a
There
family.
was autism. People didn't know what to diagnose it at that time.
I mean,
I think
Steve,
people just saw it as
maybe
a
some
disability.
ADHD. I understand, but some straight up autism,
Even besides
retardation.
autism.
But
there's a
we've
lot
had that.
more
We've
than
had
where
it
it was.
around.
Okay, we've had it, but there's a lot more. nowadays.
Well, it's kind of like
just like cancer,
else.
just like disease, just like everything else. There's a lot more, and it's getting ridiculous.
But just like everything else, we're seeing it more. We didn't have all the social media and all the news sources.
No one's posting
ago.
their handicapped child on social media to get attention. I mean, I hope not.
No,
not
but
saying
Steve,
that.
there are Chaldean
it's just
families,
visible.
elder Chaldean families that
Get
had
it.
children
I get
with
it.
handicap.
I get it, but it's a lot
Even
more. It's more
relatives,
prevalent now.
even the relatives weren't allowed to see
It's
the
more
child.
prevalent now.
There was.
It's
like,
not. It's
And
not
there's
more
a
just
lot
more
more of that
known now,
happening.
It's more out in
It's
the
more
open.
advertised. It's kind of like people think there's more violence in the world, but there's not. It's more advertised.
Okay.
The media's out
Everything's
there blowing
in
it
your
up.
face.
Okay.
Everything is.
We're actually
exaggerated.
living in the least violent time in history right now.
All right. Try to get booked with a psychologist around here. You're
We're
probably
having-
3-4 months
Hello.
away.
Hope and
Try and
Counseling.
get booked with a urologist. It's 4 month wait.
Hope
and Counseling.
You
No,
can
it's
go
not.
online and make your appointment,
No, it's
Steve.
not.
Call your physician for a blood
see
test and
Hope
say
and
coming in
Counseling.
9 months.
Thank you.
Hopeandcounseling.com. You can
.com.
schedule appointments online.
Traveling
can
MD,
call-
Steve. Call
Or
the
you can
traveling
call
MD.
our office.
Keep telling
saying.
you guys. Keep telling
I have
yourselves
availability
that.
this week if
Keep
you
being
need.
naive. Okay, there's problems, and when you, like you said, sweep it under the rug. Nothing to see here.
That's what was happening.
exactly
That's
what
exactly what was
Exactly.
happening.
Yeah. Oh,
I'm
Omar
saying
can-
you
hold
guys
on
are
a
doing
sec.
the same thing.
So,
No,
so
we're
back
not
to the-
sweeping.
No, that's why we're bringing it up.
We're
here,
bringing it up so people will
so
talk
we can
about
talk
these
about it
things.
and
What are
say
you talking
it's
about,
okay.
Steve?
We can say that
What program
it's okay.
are you listening to? Are you listening to this in reverse or something?
You know, I
has a different
I helped
Somebody's talking
start
to him somewhere.
I helped start the Breaking Barriers program that the Chaldean Community Foundation does.
Yeah, and it's
that's good.
awesome.
And when we started it, we had so much trouble getting people to come to the events that we were doing. We had so many people that were reluctant. At first, it was, well, I don't want people, they're going to talk about, I don't want people knowing my kid is handicapped. Then it was, well, I don't have anybody to leave my other kids with if I bring my disabled kid to the event. And finally, we stayed persistent, and now the program has grown. I mean, they have over like 300 members, I think, in the program.
That was unheard of before.
Which is awesome.
Yeah.
You know?
You know?
Yeah.
Well, and again, we can't compare it to what it was 30 years ago because we don't know.
No.
We don't know how many would have been if people were less.
I have a funny
ashamed of
story
it,
for you guys.
hiding
So
it.
we were in church Saturday. We were at Holy Cross, and I was walking in with our choir director. You know, her and I are like best friends. You know, and we're walking in, and we passed by my cousin. She's like, "Hi, Omar, dikhiwet." I'm like, "Hey, how are you?" You know, whatever. She grabs me and kisses me. She goes, "I'm like, "Oh."
That's how rumors start.
Right? So the girl right away realizes what she was getting at, and I go, "Oh, she's my friend," you know? And then she goes to her, I'm with him in the choir. I'm the leader of the choir. So we're walking away. She goes, "Yeah, take care of him, huh?"
I don't think
She's looking out.
that. I think she just meant like, make sure he's okay.
We know what she meant, but me and the girl both started laughing. You know, I'm like, "Yeah, please take care of me. Don't forget."
Yes.
Hey, we're not getting to the second part of this conversation, Omar. We're supposed to talk also about what the fertility treatments, what's the,
What's the
what
Do's
is
and
the
don'ts.
church
So the
think
in
about
vitro, the whole thing with in vitro and all that. What basically what it is it's they take they take the woman's egg and they freeze it. I think, right, Christina?
Well, the word in
Paging
vitro
Dr.
means
Omar.
in glass,
Okay.
and that makes me sound really smart. But I did look that up today, just, so no one is under any impressions about my intelligence. But anyway,
know.
it means in glass. So I mean, they take the egg and they take the sperm and they put them in a glass, petri dish or
Yeah, and then wait for
They
the sperm
put it
to
in.
fertilize.
Test
it,
tube,
and then-
baby.
or test tube, whatever, and put your hands together and try and make a baby, and then they will implant
The fertilized
multiple
Yeah.
fertilized embryos into the back into the woman's womb and cross their fingers and hope for the best.
So you have a master's degree in theology from Sacred Heart Seminary.
Yes.
You're obviously an avid,
not
adamant Catholic, right? So, what's the church's position on that?
For the church, there's many problems with it, but one overarching thing is that it takes the reproductive act out of its natural state. So that, for one thing, Secondly, there's a lot of possible collateral damage there. For one thing, if the infertility is within the male, they will be often going to a sperm donor. So that takes it outside of the marriage as well. This is, really we're talking about an infidelity. The sexual act is meant to be unitive and procreative. So if you're getting a sperm donor and in vitro fertilization, then you're breaking both of those bonds that the act is supposed to be. There's also the fact that, we do believe, as, science tells us, that life begins at conception. So these are human beings that are just being treated as objects, basically. Multiple embryos will be used, knowing that, only one or maybe two will implant and grow into life. The rest are discarded. There's also, I've actually read that oftentimes multiple fertilized eggs will implant, and then the parents will be like, "Whoa, we only ordered one. Cancel the other two."
Yeah.
And so the doctor will cancel the other
let's
two.
Let's just do this. Let's
orders.
just stick, instead of going that far into it, let's just stick to like the case that would happen in the Chaldean community, because most Chaldeans are not going to get a sperm donor. They're not going to do all the stuff.
But I got a question
Not
though.
necessarily, but we don't know what their infertility
What if they use
are.
What if they use the husband's sperm in the process?
That's what I'm saying. My point is, let's
well,
say
it's still not.
Well,
it's-
thinking about Catholic moral teaching, how is that sperm obtained? So
That
we're
right there.
at step one, and we're already in some moral. Well, it's not gray, actually. It's yeah. So we're already at
One sin.
There's one sin. Check. And again, it's it boils down to, again, taking this act and taking it completely out of its natural state. And the church says that every child has the right to be born, to be created, conceived, naturally. With a husband and wife, which we know, is not always in a perfect situation, and not always out of love, and God knows all the crazy circumstances that lead to conception are not always pleasant, but at least it is within a natural state. Between a man and a wife, man and a woman, really.
and this is like more. It's like dizzying. All the factors involved with something like the
Making babies ain't
again,
that
I don't
simple.
I don't want to. I mean, maybe I'll have people send me some hate texts in here, but the church is saying, even if if conception happens via rape, you have to keep the child.
Mm-hmm.
But if the man is doing this act so that they can get the sperm sample, so that they can impregnate the woman for a good purpose, you'd like to have a family and a child, that's not right. That's kind of a difficult. I mean,
It is a difficult thing, and I think that I think the end issue here is the thought that people have a feeling that they have the right to have children, whereas it should always be thought of as children are a gift. We are entrusted with these children to raise them. I do not feel, and have never felt, like I have a right to a child, like as if children are a commodity. That's what it's treating them as, is a commodity. I have a right to a child, so I'm gonna go by any means to have a child because I want a child.
Just because you just want to have a family? I don't think that's like.
It's not a bad thing to want.
Improper or immoral statements.
No, it's not a bad thing to want. But if your circumstances are unfortunate and you do everything that you can, there are other ways to have a family. There is adoption. That's always an option.
But some people are against having other blood except their own.
But it did.
But I'm saying some people don't want to adopt. Some people, I'm not saying it's wrong or right to adopt. It's great if you're, if you want to adopt, but some people don't. They want to have their own blood. They like to have their own bloodline.
Well, again, it's not something that's bad to want, but having a noble desire does not make a wrong action right. We can have a lot of noble,
basically
desires.
I feel like at this point the church is saying that if you are blessed with a child, great. If you're not, you have to make peace with the fact that that's just not
That's
part
not
of
God's will. Exactly.
And after 3
Yeah.
miscarriages,
Basically.
I had come to a point, and we hadn't lost hope. It's not like we had stopped trying, but I had started to let sink in my head that we may not have children. And this is not oh poor me, I was sad and depressed and losing hope. It was just at some point I have to face reality, and reality could easily have been that we would not have any living children. That didn't end up being a case, but that will be the case with some others. And something that I remember thinking so many times at that point, and I remember I had to mentally kind of smack the back of my head, was I would be praying in church at mass or adoration, wherever, and I would be thinking Lord, there's nothing that I want more than a child. And then the spiritual backhand to the back of my head or whatever would happen to be no, what you should want more than anything in the world is to be holy. And me saying this sounds all like I'm great at this, but I am definitely not. But
Okay, hold on.
it's still something I need to
think-
remind myself of.
Still-
Is that more important than having children is being holy. More important than
But why can't
having
you
a
have
family
children
is
and
being
be holy?
Right.
You can.
So what if you have the child
You
and it
can.
becomes a priest or a great
But
addition
if
to
your
society
choice,
or whatever?
But if your choice is between going against moral teaching and natural law regarding these issues and being holy, which are you going to choose?
What's the definition of being holy?
Well, that's what I was gonna say.
Well,
Yeah,
follow,
but see, I'm
following the Lord.
I'm sorry. I have a problem with that because I don't see, and I understand that's the church's view, but I can't imagine that God is going to punish you for women or couples who do go the in vitro route and say, okay, well, you didn't have this child naturally. You're bad. You're wrong. Sorry, that's not
I
holy.
don't know what God is going to do.
Right. I'm
and
just
I
saying,
don't pretend
to me,
know, but I do know what the church has taught us.
Right. So the church saying to you, no, you're not supposed to do that. It's not natural. It's.
Was your family
I
telling you
can't
that?
wrap my mind around that. I'm
Was your
sorry.
family against it? Were they telling you don't do it, it's wrong?
Well, in my case with suffering miscarriages, in vitro wouldn't really have helped anyway. We didn't have a problem getting pregnant. We had a problem staying pregnant. So
yeah.
in vitro fertilization would not. I had lots of people. I mean, not my family because we're all fairly faithful. But,
Except Father Andy.
Yeah, and
He's-
but lots of other people that I work with or something that aren't Catholic, aren't Christian necessarily, would mention oh, have you thought about that? Have you whatever? And if I felt like getting into Christian moral teaching with the random person at my work, then I would. But more often than not, it would be a very long conversation. So I would just tell them it wouldn't help my situation.
Yeah.
Anyway, but again, life is not. No one ever said that life was going to be easy, and these are things that I've wrestled with and still wrestle with. I'm not saying this as if I'm completely at peace with these things, but life is not supposed to be easy. We will not know all the answers to our questions, and no one ever promised comfort in this life. And in fact, we were promised the opposite of that. Uncomfort and suffering.
You just quoted C.S. Lewis.
It's just and each person will have a different version of what they are going to go through and suffer through, their cross, as we talk about, and this might be it for some people. And to say that because wanting a family is a good thing means I will can disregard this part of the church's teaching is no better than
And we can kind of say that the same thing about like people that are older and haven't gotten married. Like, are they supposed to do like any means necessary to get married?
I don't think marriage is like. I mean, some people want to get married, some don't.
People don't have the
when people,
opportunity, though.
but people. I mean, if people want to have a child, I don't know. I have a tough time because you look at people like the stories, the biblical stories of people that have been bad people their whole life and then repent last minute before they die and go to heaven, and I don't get how that can happen. You know, with somebody being a robber.
Well, that's a whole nother subject.
No, but listen, I'm saying. Let me finish talking. So
I want to read a comment too.
So this. In this situation, the intent is at least good.
Yeah.
It's not like you're. I mean, let's face it. You know, the way a child is conceived is not exactly. I mean, yeah, they call it a beautiful act, but come on. I mean, so whether it's through in vitro or whether it's through a natural act, I mean, you're not. Again, the intent is the same, and it's all good intent. You want to have a child, you want to raise a family, or whatever. I don't know, man. I have a difficult time.
So
but
do I. And
I would say I tend to boil things down and get to the bottom of something. But like you're saying that the ends justify the means.
Yeah, basically.
So
and that can lead to a lot of other.
So someone commented and said,
who is it?
Ban.
Okay.
You got to call her out.
Doing.
Yeah, that's already. It's all there anyway.
It's fine.
It's all there.
She said doing IVF is considered a sin. I have a problem with that. We tried for many years, and I know I was meant to be a mom. How are my beautiful, healthy twins a result of a sin? I have to agree with her.
I'll agree with her.
I can't see how a couple who wants to be parents and they try and they can't naturally, and there is technology that whoever created this is God given. God gave somebody the know-how to do this.
There are medical technologies that can help, that are considered moral, or at least that the church hasn't made pronouncements on, if you will. But again, with certain kinds, and if we sit and talk about what happens in vitro fertilization, it's I'm not saying that this person is a bad person for choosing this. And I'm not saying that the children are born out of sin, and I don't know who's going to heaven or hell. I'm struggling very much myself in ways that don't happen to be this. But the thing is, looking at what happens, she had twins, but I mean, God help us think about those embryos that didn't survive. Think about all the, thousands and millions around the world. Embryos that are these are humans. People will say, "Oh, it's not a human; it's an embryo." Well, what's an embryo? It's a human at a certain stage of development. So you can use different words. That doesn't change what it is. So these are humans that are discarded.
Yeah, if they're not needed,
if they're not needed, if they don't implant, they're discarded. They're just gone. And I cannot judge what anyone else does. I don't know.
Even the church isn't doing that. All they're doing is
stating.
I know they're not.
These are the moral principles that are passed down.
They're just stating what they see.
I get that. The church doesn't judge anybody, but basically they're telling you that it's wrong to do that.
Well, the church is led by the Holy Spirit, established by Christ to give us instructions on how to get to him.
Yeah.
To put it real simple. Hopefully I'm not a heretic anywhere in that statement.
I just think...
So they're giving us the this is what we know from God, the Holy Spirit guiding us. This is what we understand from 2,000 years of, our development of doctrine. And things, as technology changes, the teachings, won't necessarily change, but the church doesn't make a pronouncement snap decisions when there's new issues that come up, especially with technology and medical technology in particular. they wait and see and study and compare it
calling you,
with
Helen.
the 2,000 years of teaching.
You're coming with me, Steve. If they're calling me, you're coming.
Omar,
with
what's
me.
your take on this, man? You're not even barely talking, dude. You're the host. Damn it, say something.
I just
He's
did.
pro
Besides quoting
babies.
C.S. Lewis, give us something, man.
He's pro babies and pro C.S. Lewis.
Yeah.
Well, no, yeah, I am definitely pro CS Lewis. I think that it's such a complicated issue. I don't think the church is saying that the intent is bad, when doing these processes or anything like that. They're just more looking at the process and seeing it for what it is. And I think it's okay if they declare it right or wrong. The process, the process, not, the person's intention. That's why they don't judge. That's why they don't tell you you're wrong for doing it. They're saying the process is, we're seeing a lot of immorality or imperfection in that process. We're seeing a lot of issues in that process. And it's okay. I don't think there's anything wrong with them doing that.
And infertility and suffering miscarriages, these are, that's a pain that, like I said, you can't compare grief, but there's a pain there that you can't compare and you don't understand unless you have gone through it. And I've suffered 3, I've lost 3 in miscarriages, but I don't know the same. I don't know what the pain is like to suffer with infertility where you have trouble even conceiving. That's a pain that I don't understand, and I don't know what exactly my mentality would be approaching, medical technology if that were the case, because that's not what I went through. So again, I can't personally judge that. I don't know what is in a person's conscience, what's in their heart, but all I can say is this is what the church teaches.
I have a question. This is what bothers me with some of the church's teachings. Okay, so if a woman can't get pregnant, she goes to see a doctor to somehow help her get pregnant. Okay, and the church is saying in the event that in vitro may be her only option. Okay, so she's going to a doctor. So why is it then if someone is sick, I'm diagnosed with cancer, I'm going to go to the doctor to get better, right? Isn't it a sin for me to go get treated for that?
I think because you're
That's-
dealing
that's-
with
That's
that.
something that happened naturally.
That's like
Helen.
piano.
Just go
that's a bad-
upstairs.
No, I'm just saying
Well, that's
something
comparing
naturally
apples and
happened.
pianos.
That's not a good comparison, though.
Why?
That's
Why
enough.
isn't it- you're going
because
to
we're
the
talking
doctor.
about another life, a human life.
just talking
We're
about
not talking
the
about a
life of
sickness or a
embryos, yeah.
disease. Okay, it's pretty obvious.
Yeah, it's not just like I'm just
but
going to
what
go
maybe
get
what Helen is
because
saying, maybe we're
well,
misinterpreting her.
to
Maybe she's
compare,
saying, maybe she's saying that maybe I shouldn't get treatment and just let myself die because that's what God wants.
Exactly,
instead
that was God's
why
will,
treat
right?
me?
I got
It's kinda
sick.
like
It's
embryo,
God's
right?
will.
Well, we're letting it go. Well, her, it's like
No.
If I'm
That's
sick,
still a
they might
bad.
as well let me go.
You know why that's a bad
Well, no,
comparison?
I'm
Because
just putting it out there.
cancer is a matter of life and death. Infertility is not. You can't compare the two.
The comparison would be, the thing is, there are treatments for infertility that are not in vitro fertilization, that are not in opposition to church's teaching. There are lots of other options that doctors wouldn't jump to in vitro fertilization without trying dozens
A
of
lot
other
of other
things,
things, yeah.
that are acceptable, to the church's moral teaching. So, like, in vitro is, a last resort kind of a treatment. It's not something that a woman who's been trying to have kids for a year is going to be recommended. Generally, a doctor wouldn't be very worried about a woman's fertility until, at least a year. And even then, again, they would try many, many other things that are not, discarding human embryos in the process.
I think having a caring partner really helps too. Someone that's patient and understanding, and someone that's not going to be riding you because you can't, or whether it's his fault or your
course.
fault or anything like that. I think having someone that's caring and understanding, because going back to Omar was asking me before the show started, he said, Steve, would you marry someone that you couldn't have children with? For sure, 100%. I was like, well, if I loved her, I'd be married anyway, regardless of children or not. But he's like, well, what if she told you from the beginning, again, you truly love someone, nothing will stop you from sharing that life with that person, regardless of having children or not. And
do we still have issues in the community where people will not pursue a marriage if they know that the other person can't have a kid?
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I would think that's. I don't even think that's.
But I would be accepting of it.
Yeah, but here's the thing: if someone who wants to have a family,
adopt.
Well, not everybody wants to adopt. Some people want to have children of their own. So it all depends on if
a surrogate.
Well, I don't know.
I really, really want to have more money.
You can't
and I
have
just
a surrogate.
Take it in whatever means.
Surrogate would be against the church.
Absolutely.
Really?
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Hello.
that's definitely taking it out of the natural order.
Isn't Roseanne's daughter doing that?
Oh gosh.
Becky?
Are we really going to talk about Roseanne?
Steve,
right
Steve,
Are we
you're
gonna
saying
talk about
okay.
the
So
morality of a
so you
sitcom?
would marry a girl who couldn't have kids, but you'd want a surrogate. That is completely against
Wait,
the
so
church's
just so I get
teaching.
this straight, so surrogate is just the same thing where you're implanting it.
What do they call it?
And,
A halfway mom?
So,
What do they call it?
No. So the guy.
Your bun,
basically-
another oven.
Yeah. Okay, so the guy basically has to do whatever he needs to do in order to.
Or artificially inseminate.
sample.
Or artificially
Well, that's how they do.
inseminate.
They artificially
Yeah.
inseminate the
Or
surrogate.
They could do the actual real thing if she lets.
That's getting into even more.
Yeah, see, that's not wrong. But I'm saying if artificially.
Not great.
So what happens with a surrogate is, so if a woman can't get pregnant and they decide, okay, we're not going to go any other route, we're going to have someone carry this child for us. So the guy has to go into the little room with whatever he needs to do, right? And they take his sample and they take his sperm and they
Inject.
artificially
How do they do it?
inseminate.
I don't know if emotion is necessary.
Okay, so then she
They
can,
I mean,
They
feel free, but
artificially
I think we
inseminate
know.
her.
so it's not like the eggs are implanted from one into the other.
No, because
It's actually the girl. Other
because the
girl's
woman
genetic.
is the
Okay.
the woman's eggs are
Okay.
they're done. They're not working.
But you guys, when it comes to marriage, though, I mean, if someone really wants to have a child, I mean, that's going to be a really difficult thing for them to accept.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, we talk about
I
like,
hear that a lot, though.
you know,
I
getting
just
into a
married for the
marriage
kids.
knowing full
Just marry
well.
for the kids. Get married for the kids. That's all you want.
Well,
don't
why
need
get
anything
married?
else.
Why
Why
get
are you-
married?
Hang on,
Wait,
hang-
why
hang
get
on.
married if you're not
I
gonna
hope
have
you
Hold
kids?
on, hold on a
I hope
second.
You would
She wasn't-
nurture your
she wasn't done
relationship with your
talking.
spouse as
She-
well.
Yeah, of
at some point
course.
in there.
But like, they're just, I mean, there are, you know, there are things that we are willing to accept and things that are not, that we're not. And I think that someone's desire to have a child is a big deal. And so, I mean, I don't think that people should go into that lightly. And I get that obviously people that can't have children need love too. But I'm just saying, like, that's a big deal in a marriage.
It can make things very difficult, and I know it can strain a marriage very much as well. I wanted to mention, just because, you know, I think this also makes for proof that it's still a difficult topic in our community. We have, with a few friends and I, at Mother of God at the Cathedral, we've had an annual mass for those suffering with infertility and miscarriage. It's usually in October. I believe it's going to be October 5th this year. But look out for announcements. And this mass is open to anyone who is suffering infertility, miscarriage, whoever has suffered either of those, for families, for friends, anyone who wants to support these, you know, couples that are suffering through these issues. And there's not a ton of turnout to the mass. But I'm grateful
surprising, huh?
for
Yeah,
it.
exactly.
But I know that those that, yeah, exactly, very shocking. But those that are there are very, very grateful for what they have in there. That, you know, like you said earlier, the camaraderie, knowing that they're not alone in this crappy club, but even more showing how much people don't want to talk about it is afterwards we will have some fellowship where we'll have, you know, a speaker or two, nothing real long. You know, a speaker or two and some information that we can provide to them with, you know, Catholic approved, if you want to call it that, you know, options and doctors for those suffering. And there's usually even less that attend that. Again, though, there are those that are there truly appreciate it. So I want to reach this out there as well. If you know anyone, or if it's you yourself, look out for announcements. It'll be in October. Again, I think October 5th. I'm terrible that I didn't check back in my emails to make sure about this before I was on here. But it's a beautiful mass. There is a blessing from the priest, and there is fellowship afterwards. We have information. We have, hopefully some amount of comfort for those that are suffering through these issues. But again, it's an issue that Kelly, the world doesn't talk about it very much. And I've been noticing it more and more because there are celebrities that are being more open about it, about their infertility, about suffering miscarriages. I mean, so many that, you'd be shocked. Look up celebrities and miscarriage, and you will see list after list. I mean, not just the ones that everybody's heard about. Chrissy Teigen has, suffered through infertility, but Mariah Carey, Celine Dion, Pink, Brooke Shields, Marilyn Monroe, all of these suffered miscarriages. Jackie Kennedy Onassis suffered miscarriages, and a stillborn child as well. But these days now, there have been more and more of these celebrities. The Mark Zuckerberg, Facebook's founder, his wife has suffered miscarriages, and he came out and talked about it. And more and more, I've been seeing in the media that people are being more open about this and realizing it is very common, and we should talk about it. There shouldn't be a stigma. It shouldn't be seen as a taboo subject. It only makes things more isolating and more lonely for those that suffer.
And it's not like it's in their control. That's
exactly the vast majority of miscarriages have nothing to do with anything the man or woman does when she gets pregnant, and infertility is generally not caused by anything the woman or man does. These are unfortunate circumstances that just happen.
That's
just
why,
like so many other diseases and things. It just
I cringe
happens.
when I see these idiots on Facebook and Instagram when they do their baby announcements, and there's a girl, and the guy's like, he's like ready to call Jerry Onu. He's just so depressed when he has a girl. I'm like, what the hell's wrong with these people?
That's the worst.
You've seen that before? The guy's like the girl's jumping up and down, hugging everyone. The guy's like, putting his head like.
Oh, I see that. I've seen that so many times.
What
It's
a
so
dick.
sad. I want to punch him in the throat, but I don't because it's not. It's kind of
look what people go through, and you sit here and sitting here pouting because you don't have a boy, you asshole.
And let me just make a PSA. That's public service announcement for those that don't know. There is never an okay occasion to ask a woman if she's pregnant, just FYI. If she has not told you herself, there is a reason why she doesn't want to share it yet. And if she's not and she wants to be, you asking is, a little salty in that wound there. So
is it kind of like asking about their age?
Much worse.
Wow.
Much
Way
worse.
much-
Way
way
worse.
worse.
But yeah, just
I'm never offended.
Omar, are you
myself.
pregnant?
Are
I
you-
was just checking,
The
bro.
second most offensive thing is that when
It's just the chicken wings.
a woman is pregnant and you ask her if she's having twins, and then
don't do
insist
that. Yeah, don't do that.
that you
either.
are correct and
Don't-
she is wrong.
don't-
Like people
don't
did
do
that to me.
that.
I was pregnant and someone's like, "Are you having twins?" I'm like, "No." Are you sure?
Oh man.
Yeah.
But I will say also, don't necessarily be afraid to announce a pregnancy too early or whatever because you're afraid that something will happen. It will not cause anything to happen or not happen. It's obviously your choice, but I don't know what will happen next time I'm pregnant and how long I'll wait to announce. But I know
Wait,
that
I just want to point
it
out
can
that
be easier if
I
people
didn't know that Christina was pregnant the last time. And my husband and I, we were at a baseball game or something, and I see Christina from across the street, and I'm like, oh my goodness, she's pregnant, and
Actually, I was just
ran
really
up to
fat.
her and realized that she was very, very pregnant, and so it was very exciting.
Yeah,
though.
after 3 miscarriages, I definitely waited a minute or two there before making that public.
Yeah.
Not because I thought anything would happen, but I mean, well, that's another topic, pregnancy after loss, but pregnancy after loss was very difficult and very annoying and very stressful every single minute. We hardly even talked and made plans until I don't think we talked about even something as simple as names until I was like 20 weeks. Because it was a high-risk pregnancy even after everything. So.
And it's hard. It's hard to connect. It's hard to connect that thought of having a baby when you have such a high-risk pregnancy. I obviously know that.
And then when I was much, later in the pregnancy, I was realizing like, oh, I've been reading about and learning all about pregnancy and fertility for years. I have no idea what to do when this baby comes out of me. And that was a whole other
I think this is it was definitely an interesting topic, and it's extremely complex.
Yeah, absolutely.
Man, you ain't kidding. A lot of gray area in this.
That was a good talk.
For sure.
It's a very nice talk.
We wanted to also talk about another issue that's kind of popped up here and there in the community because of obviously the rise of divorce within our community. I don't know if divorce has risen throughout the country in recent years, but it's definitely, I think, on the rise within our community. Mm-hmm. So, one thing that seems to come up is prenuptial agreements.
Dun, dun, dun.
Prenups. When you told me this other day, I'm like, people actually sign prenups?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't, but that's
absolutely they
one
do.
Of us had any money, so it really wouldn't have been.
A lot of Chaldeans sign
do
prenups.
you want the $400 in my bank
Here's
account?
my thought. Here's my
Of course. Well, think about it,
When I
Mark.
was single, someone tried to set me up with somebody, and that person had, I think, been engaged or was on the verge of being engaged or something, and and the girl had broken off the engagement because he had asked for a prenup. And I chose not to go out with this person because, in my opinion, a prenup is setting yourself up for divorce.
I disagree.
The thought
Stephanie.
is there.
I disagree.
That there is a possibility.
I think when you're successful, hold on. I think when you're successful and you own businesses with family members or with other people, I think you have to lay down the rules and the laws of the situation and say, look here, this is not just me. This is with other people. I have
There's a solution to that, brother.
I understand that. You create trust. You do a whole bunch of stuff. I get it.
Do a buy-sell agreement
I get it.
with an insurance policy.
You know what?
Don't need a prenup.
It doesn't work like that.
Yeah, it does work like that.
No, it does not.
It does work
Wait,
like that.
you do what, Mark?
When
you buy-sell
when you get married
with an insurance policy, if somebody, and it's in the agreement that if somebody's, if there's a breakup on the couple breaks up, the wife, instead of getting a piece of the business because, obviously there could be conflict or whatever, you do a buyout. You have that written that there's a buyout that goes to that person, or there's some type of insurance policy or buyout that covers that, and they're out of the business completely, and that's taken care of. You don't need.
It's the same.
I thought that was in reference. I thought that was in reference to buying the bride.
No, a buyout in a business. He's saying because if you have a business, he's worried if they get divorced and then there's a problem between the business partners because the wife.
Yeah, you're just causing a whole bunch of headache and money and time. Anyway, the thing is, everyone should understand is, you should never ask your wife to sign a prenup. Okay.
Nope.
That's just like saying I don't love
Wait,
you.
you disagreed with.
Hold on, I'm about to tell you the differences. You should never ask your wife to sign one. But if you're in a position where not all of your assets are solely yours, you need to do something about that, and you don't want her to screw up what your brothers or your sisters or your friends or your cousins or whoever else you're doing business with to be in a situation because it's your fault, you cheated, you did something wrong, you're not a good man, you're not a good father, she left you, whatever. Regardless, whether it's one side or two side, you always have to have
You kind of
an
lost me.
insurance policy for yourself.
I'm pretty sure that. Okay.
So that's, you can't just go into a
Wait, so you're saying if you have
marriage.
business partners, that business should not be in the prenup?
Everything, whatever
But
you
just,
do.
a few minutes
As
ago,
far
you
as
disagreed
business,
with that.
as far as business, but if you own a home together, obviously.
But you don't need a prenup for that.
Dower rights in Michigan are very, very strict. They're right along with California. We're probably one of the handful of states in this country that have the strictest dower rights. I'm talking about as soon as you sign your name on a deed, your wife is half, regardless. Mm-hmm. And they even changed it last year that your wife, before you close, she has to be there to sign the deed. But
wait a minute,
hold on. But when you buy something, she doesn't have to be there to sign. It's automatic, and that's It's huge.
Hold on. If the guy is having the woman sign a prenup, isn't he basically just opening a door that he can do whatever the hell he wants and it doesn't matter?
Not really. There's
Come on, man.
Mark.
That's like saying,
Mark, you're talking.
I can go cheat
Mark,
on you, but you keep.
Mark,
you leave,
you're
you don't get anything.
talking.
Come
You're
on, that's
talking.
stupid.
You're talking cut and dry. You're talking a prenup that says, "Hey, f you if something happens." But most prenups nowadays, people are smarter. The first kid, you get an X amount of money. The second kid, you get an X amount of money. The time.
Don't marry the person.
The time.
Don't wear.
It's a lot of.
But
The time frame.
But that's what I'm saying.
The time frame you're in a relationship.
Okay,
You
but
survive
hang on a
5
second.
years, you get money. You
To be
survive
fair,
10 years,
I don't
you get
think.
money. So
To be fair, I mean, I hope, maybe I'm having too much hope in humanity, but I would like to think that that nobody is going into a marriage thinking like, well, if this,
The setting
If
up
this
a-
goes down the toilet, at least I'm good.
But
Hold
isn't
on a
the
second.
prenup saying, well, if this fails,
Yeah.
which I'm kind of thinking it might, then I want to be protected.
But can I just say something? I know several women who've married men simply because of their wealth. Okay?
Absolutely.
Okay, I'm sure all of us sitting here know these.
there's a
Well,
term
but-
for that.
So
You know
okay,
the-
it
I
doesn't mean-
kind of have days where I
Oh,
wish I
sure.
did.
Wait a minute.
But hold on a
if you
second.
think
Hold on.
that-
I call
wanna hear
myself
it.
a very patient
I'll
girl.
answer that.
So hang on a second. Okay, let's just say, Mark, you're like a super wealthy guy, right?
I'm not. But anyway.
No,
She's just
He
saying
told us
that
he's only
Scenario-
20% partner.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's just say you're a guy who's, created this wealth for yourself. You're a millionaire. You have all this money. And girls are just, of course, some girls like guys with big pockets. Okay?
I think Kanye West has a song about that.
Exactly. Okay. So, yeah, you meet some girl and, she's madly in love with you after 2 dates, right? Because, whatever, she realizes how much money you have and she wants to be your wife because she wants a certain lifestyle. So you get married, you don't have her sign a prenuptial agreement. A year later, she's like, I like the lifestyle, but I don't really like this guy, right? And then she's like, oh, I want a divorce. Is it right that she gets half of your
Don't you
shit?
think that most of the guys that are going into these kind of marriages know?
Yes.
Most of the time, they want
Right.
arm candy.
Right,
And they
okay.
want somebody who's 30 years younger and all this stuff. They know what's going on. They're not that dumb. People make it like it's
They want their
always some
trophy
girl
wife.
poaching
Right.
on the guy that's so innocent and naive.
No, I'm not
You know,
saying
it's
right,
like,
but what I'm saying
you know.
is, should that woman, girl, whatever, should she end up after being married to a guy? I mean, if you're married to
I
the guy
can't-
for 30
listen,
years
I
and
can't
he starts
judge on
cheating
that
on,
because I don't know the personality of the person, but I will say most guys that are going out with a girl who's the quote unquote gold digger know that person is. When even you see these guys who own sports teams and they have a wife that looks like she's 25 and they're like 90,
Yeah.
It's like they know what's going on. They're not that dumb. They just want some arm candy and they're setting up their own. They're setting it up for themselves later. It's like
They're dooming themselves.
yeah, they're dooming
I don't-
themselves. They know what's going
Well,
on.
it's not always gold diggers. I mean, there's women that marry for security, and there's nothing wrong with that. That's not being a gold digger. She just wants a good life, make sure her kids are taken care of, make sure the guy's not lazy and an asshole or whatever. They want security, and that doesn't mean they're gold diggers if they care if their husband is an engineer, doctor, lawyer, or party store owner. They want security, and there's nothing wrong with that. So that's
But she's
Well,
talking
I'm not
about the women that don't go in with good intentions. Like
Well, regardless,
No,
you
the
can't.
intention is,
but it's
okay,
a fine
this-
line. If you say, "Well, I'm marrying him because he's rich," that makes me a gold digger. But I'm marrying him because I know he could provide for my family and my kids and everything like that. That doesn't make her a gold digger. That makes her smart. That makes her smart because she knows she
Yeah, but
doesn't
that's
want to
besides
have
the
problems.
point. That's besides the point. We're talking about the end.
This
end.
is the same thing. We
No,
can't
not-
label someone a gold digger if they
But-
want
but-
security.
Hold on. Okay. If they want security and the marriage still ends up in disaster and she still ends up screwing the guy, then what?
And she's just an evil bitch.
Oh,
but
that
she's
settles
saying,
that.
so does she deserve to get half?
Does she deserve to get half? If she was living in 7 Mile, no. But if she was, you took her out of Wabeek and she wants that same lifestyle, yeah, she got to do what she got to do because that's a Michigan law. It's her same lifestyle that she had.
It's too much gray.
That's a
area
classy
in that-
attitude.
in that-
Yeah, right.
No, there's too much gray area in that situation
Hey.
because there's too many X factors.
What did the dad say? Once you get out of my house, she's on you.
What are the X factors? I'm giving you a scenario where
Okay, I have a question. But what if you don't ask for a prenup, but you ask for a person to sign a contract saying that, business wise, they don't have any.
And here's a
rights.
point from
but
Ashley
that's a
Agbu.
prenuptial agreement.
She said she deserved half if she has the children, if she has
I
his
agree
children
with
for
that.
him.
After a year of being married, we have one kid, and the woman's like, I don't really like this guy. I mean, yeah, the money's nice, but I don't really like
Some
him.
money to raise the kid, so he's gonna have to pay regardless.
So after a year, she should get
if
half.
they have a kid, she's
gonna get
She's gotta
something.
get something, yeah.
Okay, that's fine. She can get child support. He can take care of his
Little
kid,
alimony.
do all that, right? Okay.
Little
And
alimony.
again, there's so many different scenarios, but believe me, most of these guys that are marrying people like that,
They
they
know.
know ahead of time what they're getting.
Right, and they should, and that's where I think a prenuptial agreement should come in. If you're a girl who doesn't, I absolutely do. If I was gonna marry a guy who had a buttload of money, right, and he said to me, I want to look at all of the stipulations. It's not just gonna say, oh, he can do whatever if he starts cheating on me.
Let's flip the script. What if the woman's like a doctor and the guy's like,
Right, same thing.
You think
I'm looking for that, guys. So, you know,
Are you looking for that? You want a
You
sugar
look-
mama?
I wouldn't mind a little shaker.
But,
You mid shaker.
Yeah, but it's just I don't know. It's there's a lot of gray area in that. But if you're marrying somebody with a prenup, there's a big problem.
I don't.
It
Think,
should
That's
not be
what-
happening.
I don't think so.
I just feel like you're just walking in
Like
to
you
something
said.
that's not.
Yeah, like
Genuine?
You said, you're
Genuine,
walking into
exactly.
something you
Yeah.
think is going to fail ahead of time.
I hate the idea of it. I get it, because you also, there have been plenty of times people have been swindled. I mean, all the way into marriage,
Yeah.
and not going into it because they wanted this person's money, but they really were just, what is it? Is that catfished and like
Whatever,
whatever the kids call that kind of thing these days, and it's, they didn't intend that, they didn't want to, but you know what? Maybe they do deserve half after having to deal with some
Yeah.
jerk like that.
Omar, did you have a decaf coffee before the show today? I'm
No.
hearing nothing out of you, man. Come
Omar,
on.
what
Listen, I'm just a neutral guy. I'm listening to you guys.
Okay, so Omar, what do you
Out of
think?
sass neutral?
If you were like really, really, really rich, and you just met.
Wait, Omar's not?
He hides it very well.
Van,
He doesn't-
Van's restating what I said. She said, "If what if they have a prenup and the breadwinner cheats? Isn't that unfair to the spouse?" That's what I
Yeah.
said.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. That's why there's stipulations in your prenuptial agreement that says if I'm married to this guy and okay, let's say let's just say her, him, whoever it is, whoever has the wealth, right? If he or she, my spouse, cheats on me, then yeah, I'm getting something out
That's
of the
covered
deal.
under section 38(9).
No, but
Subsection
that's,
A. If in this case.
yeah, yes, there are certain circumstances where this contract would become null and void.
So here's my dilemma with this. Is let's say I'm going to put it in my perspective. If a guy came to me and said, "I want you to sign a prenup," I'm offended and I don't want him to take advantage of me. So I say, I want to put a stipulation saying that if you cheat on me, then I still get half. So isn't that
I know.
assuming that this guy already thinks that we might get divorced and then this woman also thinks that he might cheat on her? Like, what a way to start a marriage.
I'd ask for money first. So okay, here, put $5 million.
Signing
in my
bonus?
account.
You get a signing bonus?
Signing
Like a-
bonus.
Yeah, right?
What do you think, Omar?
But I mean, like, to me, that just
Noreen
sounds like
Bash said you need a
negative.
divorce attorney on this panel.
Yeah, we do.
I wouldn't say I'm not the right person to talk about
you
this
guys,
thing,
people,
no money.
I think
They'll
that
tell you they need a
most
retainer for you to be
people,
here.
I think that most people go into a marriage with the absolute best of intentions, with the idea that this is going to be the person that I'm going to spend the rest of my life with.
So then be that what it may. Whatever
Right.
happens, happens.
Right, I understand that, but when there are certain circumstances, again, as I said earlier, people who have a lot of money, especially whether it's a man or a woman, okay, and you go into a relationship, sometimes there are those people that are only with you for that reason, right? And whether you may know it or not, or you may not know it or not. What if it's the woman whose family's got a ton of money, she inherited a bunch of money.
we need
and-
somebody who signed a prenup to call in.
Yeah.
Please
call in.
Talk to us about it.
Or to comment on
I don't think any Chaldean would ever do that to admit that they signed one.
Oh, I don't know.
No, I don't think they admit, but there are.
Oh, I know personally people that have, but I don't think anyone would admit it.
Martin Brejo keeps commenting. I guess he's
just trying to throw a plug.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See Martin Brejo for your insurance
for your
needs.
life insurance. Martin Brejo.
He's a good guy. He's a good guy.
We're not endorsing him. Just call him. Whatever happens
He's
on you
just-
guys. I don't know if he's
No,
licensed
but I'm saying,
or what.
I mean, honestly, is that fair? Is that fair to the other person?
Well, what's Martin commenting?
He's just saying we need to talk about family planning,
He said
insurance.
family
and
planning in
Here's-
place.
think
so
and
if
whatever.
something happens, you can. It
Yeah.
makes sense.
And that
Family
sh-
planning
yeah.
is set up
Here's
just in
another
case.
Said
idea, though,
marriage
too.
agreements are like purchase agreements
Never
nowadays.
say never, Steve.
Here's another thought, though. If you don't have a prenup and you know that, the spouse is going to get half of what you have, you might actually work a little harder to make it work.
What's that?
You might work harder
dramatic
to make
gasp.
your marriage work if you think that this spouse is going to get 50%.
Not the most noble motivation, but it's something.
Yeah, this
That's
motivation.
interesting.
I mean, I've seen it. I've had clients that were on the verge of divorce, and the husband literally said this. He said, it's cheaper to keep her.
Cheaper to keep her. I was going to say that's the saying.
And then
Aw,
that
that's so
became their
sad.
motivation to make it work because he didn't want to give her half. And she wanted to make it work, but he kind of didn't. And they ended up making it work because they didn't want to live miserably because neither one of them wanted to get a divorce for different reasons. And so they did. They worked it out. And they're pretty good right now.
If you've been married for 30 years, I don't see the point in getting a divorce after that anyway. I'm talking about in a situation, if you're married for 30 years and you married a guy or a woman who had a bunch of money, at that point,
But if you have a
assets
prenup,
should be,
But if you have a prenup, it doesn't matter how long you've been married.
But in that prenup, there could be that stipulation. Again, there's all these things you can. It's prenuptial
So you
agreements
get a
aren't just
reward.
cut and dry.
If you make it 30 years, you
get
get a
so
gold
much, yeah.
star. You get half of your husband's making.
No, they don't get my guitars, and they don't get my dog Charlie.
Yeah. If it's less than 10 years, you only get so
Other
much.
than that, you guys can have it. That's okay.
That's the thing. Like you're putting too many stipulations on a marriage. Marriage should literally be you get married to be with each other and to love each other for the
but
rest of your life.
I don't disagree with you, but
Well,
that's not. How it
I mean,
works these
unfortunately,
days.
this kind of thing, it just
When you- when
it just
you're
goes
talking about-
down to like how well. I mean, I want to say like our community, but really, it's all over
It's all
every
over, yeah.
community anyway. But it's just the like, what kind of attitude and approach are they giving to marriage itself, and the attitude that they have when they are dating and when they're engaged. Are they really preparing themselves for a life with another person, or are they preparing themselves for a nice house and a car and
wedding.
and beautiful kids, and keep the ones that aren't beautiful in the back of the picture, and
It's bad.
Well,
It's
just-
bad
just-
right now.
just get
Christina.
them, just get a
you should be able to figure
Plastic
it out.
surgery
before
to
you
make
end up
them
getting
beautiful
married,
and-
though, I mean, most of the time you can figure out somebody's motives and intentions. I mean, if they're demanding a gigantic ring, or the guy's demanding certain things already, or whatever, it's like, it's kind of a tip off that something's wrong here,
Well, but I mean, how often are we paying attention to those red flags? Look at people's weddings these days. Oh my goodness, like.
Yeah.
Kelly, it's like they don't even know. Like, do we really have this much money that we have no idea what to do with it,
5
except for
Ryder
have
trucks
like
pulling in Shenandoah, like a concert tour.
every wedding is like crazier and crazier. There's gonna be a Chaldean wedding at like the Ford Field one of these days, and
I'm
we're
surprised it
not
hasn't
even gonna be
happened yet.
surprised. We're not even gonna be surprised. We're like, oh
Actually,
yeah,
it's
yeah.
probably cheaper than
my
Shenandoah.
cousin,
Yeah,
my cousin,
probably.
my cousin had it at the Silverdome years ago. Like, there's gonna be some, someone else has to have a friggin' helicopter or something. Like,
They already do that.
do-
already.
like,
Yeah.
is
They've
there
got the
really this
helicopter.
much
Yeah.
money that we don't know what to do with? Because I have
No, it's
suggestions
all
of
on
what we
Dana.
could do with
My
this
student
money.
You know what
loans.
Dana is? Dana?
I'm
Yeah.
just saying, if
So when the
there's
night's
money,
over, the DJ stops spinning, come to collect.
I'm just saying, I'm not sure.
Well, and then that's also another thing that's causing a lot of these divorces too, is that people are overspending on weddings or their
yeah,
extravagant
absolutely.
lifestyles, and then nothing else is considered.
No, exactly. I mean, I had
And communion's
my wedding was about the size of an engagement party, and we probably spent like a fraction. We spent on our wedding probably what half the Chaldean girls in our community spend on their dress.
Or flowers.
Yeah, that's right.
And I'm not going to say that my marriage is perfect because I'm really
Nobody's
stubborn,
marriage
and so
is
is my
perfect.
husband.
No relationship is perfect.
But I think we're doing pretty okay.
Yeah.
You know, all things considered. And you know what? We didn't have, all these
extravagant
big, fancy, extravagant things.
We
And
had
we're
Roma Hall in
pretty
the
happy.
background with the water.
You know what I ended up with at the end of my wedding? Instead of like $100,000 in debt, I had a house.
Yeah.
And I didn't, owe money for 5 years into my
Exactly.
marriage. I had a down payment on a house. Thank God.
Yeah.
For generous friends and family.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
And I
I'm not
promise
going to
you- I
take any
promise you none of them
zarovs at my wedding.
remembers
No?
what.
No
It
zarovs
looked
allowed.
like.
It'll be in the
Why?
batako. No zarovs.
Yeah, good luck.
And the
Okay.
zarov, what in the
Okay.
And the-
Why?
just it's nicer that way. I think. Why are
Okay.
people coming to give you money? Why do I need your money?
It's a gift.
A gift for what?
You better have a small
You
ass.
think I
wedding
want
then.
your $100?
Yeah.
Why?
No, for real.
We think I want your $100? I mean,
I think you do, actually.
no. I'm not going to have any envelopes for my wedding.
Oh, there's
Well,
a
like I
question.
said, you better have
Ashley
a very
Carmo
small,
Abo
intimate
asked,
wedding then.
was your
And
wedding
don't do it at
before social
Shenandoah
media?
either.
Why? What is it? What is it, 100 grand? 120
Oh, you'll ball
for
like
a
that?
beautiful night, best day of your life.
$100,000.
Oh,
More?
There was a question if
Are
my
they
wedding
more
was
now?
before
Was that
social
100 grand?
media. It was in 2008, so there was some social
It
media.
wasn't that crazy.
It wasn't like now, though.
No.
You had MySpace.
There was not MySpace
So
anymore.
Steve, you think
I'm not
a
that
wedding
old.
is
Facebook came out
you
in
think
07.
weddings
Not gonna lie, I
are
did have
like
a
around
MySpace, though, but-
$100,000?
I did too.
That's
One
a lot.
120.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
For a wedding?
Yeah.
Dang, my house didn't cost that.
No, I didn't.
Well,
spend that.
according to Steve, that's the going rate these days.
Okay.
20 dimes for a wedding?
But you
I
know,
mean, what?
it-
The flowers are 30. Okay. The singer wants 10. The
5.
The 5. Okay. Depends on who you get.
Still 5.
The photography guy wants 10.
what does Magic
Five.
charge?
This
these
Five.
days?
person, then you pay Shenandoah 30, and they're serving you Pusa Riza Morocco. I mean,
That's why you can go somewhere else.
no, I'll use my own money. I'll cater it.
Whoa,
I'll make it nice.
I know,
There's
right?
something
I'll bring
else
Haifa
that
over there
you
to sing.
Oh, God.
Who?
Maybe Nancy.
Oh,
Nancy Ajram?
Yeah.
he wants to spend 10 grand on that.
Oh, yeah, okay.
10, say 10.
Yeah,
I said it's
for
going to
sure.
cost 120.
Why, you don't want Majid?
I mean, he gets booked up, man.
You got to
Yeah.
bring the star of the show. Maybe Calvin. We'll bring Calvin Saher.
Who?
I call him Calvin.
Calvin?
Kavam.
Oh, goodness.
Man,
Yeah,
Yeah.
no.
You have a
Him,
good
him
time.
alone.
But
But
Sitting
again,
on my
these
way.
are
Him alone will
tell
charge you
tell
security.
Well,
signs, you
Steve,
guys.
Be
Steve,
neat.
if you're willing to
but-
spend $120,000 on a wedding, there might be some girls who, to make it known.
Brilliant.
We want
But again, like I
prenup.
said,
We
you
want prenup.
If you got it like that, Steve,
Just make sure you got a
What do you
prenup
like
ready, though.
outside your
Yeah,
door.
make sure that
But
prenup
isn't
is.
this-
Prenup ready. No wonder Steve knows about these things.
Make sure the prenup is printed on that
Nice
3/4 inch thick cardboard that they're
Message in a
sending
bottle,
their
you ever get that
Yeah,
one?
right.
The
their
message
wedding
in a bottle?
invitations on.
I'm like,
Listen,
that
I've
costs
seen
like
some
I mean, you think you can
listen,
prenup
I've
your
seen
bank
some
account
I
even.
invitations.
cracked it open. The police.
Hold
saw
on.
it.
I've seen some invitations with the postage was like $6 just to send out one invitation.
To
How about
their
that?
to their 600 guests to buy.
Yeah,
I'm gonna have
because
Junior there, too, as the hype
literally-
man.
I made
mean,
my
it's-
own invitations,
Girl,
guys.
that is me too.
No, I'm telling you.
So
Have you
that is some
have you
money I
seen
don't
the
even understand.
invitations that are like
They're like
books?
$8 to just ship. Yes.
Yeah, and you
Yeah.
can see the postage
You ever
on
get
there.
the one that's a scroll?
Yes. I've had that one too.
Oh Lord have mercy. There is nothing.
By the way,
you
Steve,
guys-
if
nothing
you
that's
bring
a
Calvin
more-
to your wedding, he alone will charge you 100,000. So
Omar,
that-
Well, you
I'm not-
guys,
I'm not-
There's
don't
nothing
you
that's
guys
a
I'm
bigger
being
waste of money
facetious
than
here, okay?
invitations.
Yeah, and
Wait.
no bigger waste of money than Arabic
Obviously, we're
music.
not going to bring Calvin. But
Mark, how much will you charge
nothing
to
wrong
do
with
a
bringing
wedding?
Haifa.
How much I charge for your wedding? Free.
Oh,
We're in.
Dang.
Oh yeah.
Speak for yourself. I'm charging my cousin.
That's right. You guys, but don't you guys think that these big weddings also are a tell sign for some people? Like, if your significant other wants all the best of the best and all the biggest, and what you should know that that's what they are preparing.
Oh, that's a
to
red flag.
expect.
That's where the
That's a red
focus
flag.
is.
But if you got it, you got it.
That it's great.
yeah, but that's what
I'm just saying. Isn't it telling you what this person person is expecting of their life
And
with
if
you.
you got it, you got it.
And that's fine, but then you can't blame that girl later for if you guys get a divorce and she gets 50%.
Yep.
But you knew, you knew what you were getting yourself into. This is the lifestyle that she wants, and she showed you that.
Yep.
And then later you're gonna say, "Oh, I didn't know this about this person."
No, you knew. The guy knows.
So
But
why?
so
should
in his
he,
mind, he's thinking to himself, okay, well, while you were with me, I gave you everything you wanted. So what? Now you want to leave, and I'm going to give you half of my wealth?
But that's even in any marriage, you're gonna get half of pretty much everything that you go into together. Like if you buy a house, you don't just walk away
Well,
from it.
no, most of these guys already have a house. It's a multi-million-dollar home. The girl just
I don't know where you're finding these guys. Let me tell you.
I
You
don't know.
haven't heard of
Oh,
Helen?
well, someone
I
called
I wouldn't find them. back in
someone
my
called
day.
me a gold digger because I married a guy that had just graduated from medical school a week before our wedding. And I was like, if I'm a gold digger, I'm the most patient gold digger there possibly could be, because I met my husband
You're a private investor.
2 weeks, 2 weeks before he started medical school. Let me tell you, it was not fun. So I just feel like
how many digits in debt?
Yeah, I was
Oh
just
my
going to say.
gosh.
Exactly.
We're
I was
never
just
going to
gonna
pay
say.
off our student loans.
Yeah,
at
that's what I was
all,
going to
ever.
say. What about those student loans?
Yeah.
No, I'm saying, I mean, we're talking about
Whitechapel
things-
wedding, Elvis imitator, drive-through, boom.
I mean,
You're
it
good,
doesn't have to
Steve.
be like the drive-through. At least get
Why do
out
we
of
have
the
to do a
car, go
pendulum swing?
in.
No, Steve wants
walk her down
Kelvin
the
at his wedding.
aisle.
Yeah,
Who's
Calvin.
Calvin?
Calvin Asaher.
Who?
I don't know. That's what he
Some
called it.
singer?
Yeah.
Yeah. You don't even want to hear big music, bro. It's a little bit
Excuse
of
me,
American
speak
music.
for yourself.
Relax, enjoy.
Some of us like the buggy, okay?
Okay,
I
I'll
don't
bring
like my
I'll
ears
bring that
bleeding
guy. What's his
everywhere.
name? Manado from San Diego.
Manado.
Monado,
Those glasses.
Monado,
You mean
Monado
Mondro?
Tomika?
Yeah,
Yeah, I was
yeah.
gonna say glasses.
No, Monadal.
Manado.
It's Monadal
Not
Yeah.
Manado.
with the L at the end.
We'll bring Manado, or we can bring the
Glasses?
what is his name? Hussein Deek.
Who?
Hussein Deek.
Who are
Hassan
these
Deek
people?
Who's that?
No
Sherman?
idea.
Bro, you really are off the boat.
Yeah. Hussein Deek.
seriously.
and his brother. They got their
Oh,
brothers,
goodness.
the
I have
Deek
no
brothers.
idea what you're talking about.
The Big
So,
Brothers?
ladies, if you
Deek,
want a
Deek
big
with a D.
hafla,
Oh.
Steve's your man.
He's the man.
Yes,
man.
Are you going to be the next wedding planner?
This is like your
No, no, no.
commercial right now.
For, uh,
This is like
Go to Steve's Facebook
resume
page
right
to
now.
read the prenup ahead
His
of time.
marriage
Sign at
resume.
the bottom, fax it in, notarized.
If you have any stipulations you want to add,
He'll have a DJT
Include
logo
those.
on the prenup.
Yeah.
Make sure you initial every change.
But I mean, I kind of tend to agree with what Stephanie's saying. Is just like when you combine all of these things and how much people are focused on the wedding day, not even just the wedding.
attention.
You know, not even just the wedding day, but like focused on the outward material
Attention.
appearance things, like focused on, well, how big is our house and what kind of car are we going to be able to have, and you know,
Lots of
all along with, you know, this is even after
nowadays
the wedding.
it's Bentleys.
So, you know, when
How
when
about
those
when the
when those
proposal?
things are a
Oh my
great
gosh,
concern,
those are getting
Fly and all
crazy
this
too.
stuff and
Yeah.
all this, and
when you're overly concerned with those
This-
things, that's not
Yeah.
going to lead to an amazing marriage relationship. You know, these are not things that
And
equal
unfortunately,
happy life.
social media has a lot to do with that too.
Necessarily.
Oh,
It's like
that's the
everybody
killer.
needs
That's the
to
killer of
Because you
every
have to
relationship.
post
outdo the
best.
last one.
Yeah, exactly.
But the funny part is with Chaldeans is not that they want to outdo the last one. They do exactly the same thing the other guy did.
Oh no, they're
Because-
getting crazier
No,
and
no,
crazier.
no. It's the
dude.
same bands playing the
Oh
same
no,
music.
I'm saying like proposals, like the wedding, like the extra stuff.
You mean like the extra excuse for more part? Because now there's. Do they do Tanethas anymore, or is it
No,
just
yeah.
the proposal party
no.
and
Yeah.
then an engagement party?
Yeah, they do 'em
and
on
then
Facebook
a
Live.
bachelorette
What about
party,
a henna? That's not Arabic.
then
That's
I love
Indian.
henna.
That's Indian.
and then
Listen, I love it. I can't.
there's
I
like
can't even
8
front that.
parties before you even get to the wedding.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay,
the wedding is like a letdown.
like we don't even care anymore. That like just okay, that's great. You're married now. Okay.
Yeah,
I think if I ever got married, I'd
I'm-
propose to her
I'm
right
done.
here on the Nadi.
you
Facebook
better.
Live.
Oh,
better.
That'd be classic, wouldn't it?
We'll
with
help
his,
you
with his
plan
black
it.
backdrop too.
That
Yes.
sounds good.
Allah
Well, and these
Akbar.
days too, the proposal is so, I don't know. I'm sure I'm gonna go ahead and offend like a lot of people out there, but
Yeah.
these proposals these days are stupid to me because They know they're getting married already. Half the time they have
oh
like
my
the
gosh,
hall
the day
booked
after,
already.
they're like already
One of the
announcing their
Like,
wedding date, and I'm like,
horrible.
how the hell did
the
you do
best
that?
is for the
Like you already have it booked, and now you're proposing. Like,
What?
guys, I think we're.
How about
best-
the proposal.
something.
They're like,
We're
I
not
want
doing this in the right
I
order.
want that. I
No.
want flowers.
The best
I want
is-
this, and I don't want to know about it.
The
Yeah.
best
Well,
is
hold
when,
on. Hold on.
Surprise.
I heard a story the other day. I'm not going to mention any names, but someone was telling me they were at a jeweler, and there was a Chaldean girl there, and she was trying to bargain with the jeweler about a diamond. She was trying to buy a diamond, right? And so the jeweler said to her, "It's going to be $30,500." She's like, "I'll give you $30,000 cash for it now." So one of the people that was there, that I heard this, walked up to her and said, "Oh, are you engaged? Are you getting married? You know?" And she said, yeah. She says, she's like, "Are you engaged?" She goes, "No." And she goes, "Oh, you know, you're getting." She's like, "Well, he just hasn't asked yet."
Wah, wah, wah.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
Survey says.
Yeah.
oh man,
Yeah,
for
it's,
real.
it's getting more ridiculous by the hour, especially when
But
they're
that's-
doing the
well, if
proposals.
well, that's the thing. If we're wondering like why there's more divorce, well,
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
Yeah, they do the proposals, and they throw in flowers on the gazebo.
Well, she can
and
keep her. Well, she
and
can
she
keep
has,
her
and she acts
$30,000
like
ring, right?
she acts like she's so surprised at the
It's like
proposal,
5
you
albums
know.
worth
oh,
of
well,
recording.
that's the part that kills me. Like,
Yeah,
That's right.
and then she has 7 outfits. How the hell did you manage that?
We asked
If you were
somebody
so
recently,
surprised, how the hell do you have
how
7
they just
outfits at your
randomly have a
proposal?
white dress in their closet.
oh, they just not in their closet, in
I
their
did
car.
it. Like I got
go
You're not
all the
fooling
way
anyone.
from the
I
from the
wore-
grotto that they got proposed to the party.
I'm like shocked that people just have white
Like,
dresses.
oh, I just happened to have, this formal dress, this cocktail dress in my car because,
Yeah.
just in case if he proposes to me today.
Yeah, no. I mean, I feel like we all have a feeling when someone's going to propose. Like, I had a feeling that my husband was going to propose, but
I kind of had a feeling too.
didn't have a dress ready. Like, I literally...
I proposed on the way to
our
church.
parents...
On the way to Christmas mass. Me and Mel.
Yeah.
I-
Our parents went to dinner
Yeah.
with us that night, and I wore, like, a suit jacket and pants. Like, I had no clue. It wasn't white. It
Oh,
was,
mine wasn't even that fancy.
Yeah, like, it
I mean,
was
nothing about me's
like...
fancy though. Let's
Wait,
be honest.
you do use the Philadelphia style. You want to get married or what? Okay.
I mean, mine was closer to that than to
When my husband proposed, my first
all
words
the
were
setup
"shut
with
up,"
the camera.
and then my second words were "shut up." So he literally was like, "I really need an answer." I was like, "Oops." But yeah, I mean, like, I think it's just too much. I think but all of that also is for social media. Like, everyone wants to post their big announcement.
It's not real unless you do that. It's not a real wedding. It's not a
That
real
connects-
boyfriend.
that
It's not a real
connects so
relationship.
many different topics that like
Yeah.
the
Social
all of
media
these
has
things,
definitely brought out a lot of
people want-
narcissism.
Oh,
well,
my
people
goodness.
want their lives to seem perfect to
Yeah.
outsiders, and that only makes people more unhappy, as we've found.
Yeah.
So like, can we just be honest with what with our lives? It doesn't mean you need to spill all your things, but like, can we be honest with our
And
lives?
how about the people that are not married? How do you think they feel when you do
Oh,
that?
I'm sure they
You know?
love
Yeah.
seeing all.
But that's
of
also
its
a cause of a lot of
everywhere.
depression and anxiety is others watching
comparison.
the
More
quote
of the
unquote perfect
comparison.
lives that they're
And it's
seeing.
not perfect because
No, of
everyone's
course
cheating.
not.
Everyone's
Oh, everyone.
Not everyone.
Yeah,
Calm
but
down,
everyone's
Steve.
cheating.
Steve, calm
everyone's
down.
cheating. Everyone's gambling.
Calm down.
Everyone's doing drugs.
Everyone's Steve, keep going.
Everyone's
Let's just
doing
go on.
everything under the sun.
What else am
But
I doing?
Yeah.
Me and
I'm
Bay,
saying everybody.
me and Bay,
Stuff. Come on.
BFF, we're happy forever together.
Stand
You
for?
sound like the
What is it?
14-year-old girl
Anyone
that
else.
wants to go on spring
Oh.
break. Everybody's going.
Yeah, hey, the new one?
No,
but
bae.
everybody-
BAE.
Oh, BAE.
BFF,
Or
BFF.
anyone else.
BFF.
Bay,
still
Bay,
counts?
Bay,
Before anyone else?
Is that what it
Bay.
means?
Yeah.
You guys know.
Bay.
Who's you guys?
Huh?
Mark, you and
I
I
know
are
what
the
that
same
meant.
age,
Bay.
man.
You know that
What
what Bay
is Bay?
means? I think it's in Swedish or which one? It means number 2, bro. Literally
then.
means number 2.
So I get.
Or as my daughter calls it,
Yeah.
That's my favorite word.
Stinky.
Yeah, I don't know
Number
about
1
that.
was, you want to do bubbles?
Oh.
Oh man.
Yes. Yeah.
But yeah, again, it's just always just again, not just our community, but come on, we
Even
always make
Junior-
everything worse. But it's the obsession
Junior
with
has a
appearances.
comment. Do you know Junior Bino? He has a comment. He said half the people that get married are cheating up to the last hour.
You have some
would hope
terrible
not.
people around
Who's
you.
Junior hanging around last
I
week?
know,
He's
right?
talking about
Junior
abusing people
speaks the
mentally
truth.
and physically. And
Junior is
Junior-
speaking the
Junior-
truth.
That's a pretty pessimistic view.
Junior, you need
I
new
know.
friends,
I really
man.
Junior
hope
is speaking the
that's
truth.
not
He knows
true.
exactly what's going on.
Dude,
Oh,
he
goodness.
needs some new friends.
He does not.
New
He does not.
surroundings.
We
I was
need a
gonna
new
say, man.
community.
Junior, we need to purge.
We need
your
to
ring around
reboot
your
the
people.
community. We
Yeah.
need to
Cheating.
reboot the
Seriously.
community.
You need to drop some.
We need to reboot.
Guys,
the
it's been real.
community.
Yeah, seriously.
Is it that?
We're gonna end
We
on
need
that
to
note,
read
guys.
It's been real.
The community.
It's been a great
We're
topic.
Not
gonna
everybody
end it on
Two
the
great topics.
We're gonna end it with the
We need to reboot the community. Bottom
Oh,
line.
goodness. We're gonna start with you, Steve. Counseling. Hopeandcounseling.com.
What's the number? Even the number too.
586. Write it down.
Hold on.
933-5395.
Oh, he's
You can make an appointment online too. It's even
For
easier.
what? Appointment for what?
Counseling.
counseling.
Do you guys
Oh.
accept Priority Health?
Maybe.
What's the
Okay.
counseling for?
Do you do?
anything
Have you
you
met
need.
Steve?
Do you
What's
do?
the counseling
man,
for?
what's your-
Wait,
oh, Steve,
wait, do you
he's
do-
beyond counseling?
Hold
bro.
on. Do you do group counseling? Because we here at the Nadi need it.
This is what
Speak
this
for
is.
yourself.
Actually, you guys,
as a group.
You want to just make it a counseling session?
you guys didn't know this,
Yeah.
but surprise! It is a group. You guys have been coming to group therapy all along.
Oh, by the way, Junior clarified his
Is it
answer by
working?
saying half cheat up to the last hour and half cheat after they're married.
I really hope
Can you
not.
invite him to the counseling with
Yeah,
Steve?
seriously. Junior,
maybe as
586
friends.
933-5395.
Junior is right. شاطر إله.
Hope and counseling.
ما
Guys.
شاطر إيه with Junior.
We'll see you in 2 weeks.
All right, we'll see.
Come on, you
Billah
gotta, get, wait, you
Sarsalila.
gotta do the Arabic.
Hello,
number.
bye.
They have no cadence when it comes to numbers, right? Everyone, we're like 248, 755. They're like 2,
586.
3, 6, 5, 2.
What's the number again? I can do.
We'll see you guys in 2 weeks.
586.
We'll see you in 2 weeks.
Bye.
That was great.
Good night.
Good night.
Say.
I have a feeling the drive home's going to be a lot of fun.
Why?
Did you guys hear the thunder and lightning?
I think it's
It's like.